Alright, what's up guys? So, on popular demand, today's video, we're going to see if you can start a CNC plasma cutting business for $10,000. Let's get started. So, as always when I do these videos, I have it broke down. So if you see me reading off this piece of paper, that's what I'm looking at. So, let's say it's a $10,000 budget and you want to start a CNC plasma cutting table business and you have no tools. I'm going to go over the bare minimum today, and good news is it comes in surprisingly under budget. And I think the only thing I kind of underbought on is the actual CNC plasma table itself, but this is assuming you've never ran one before, you have a basic idea how they work, but you have no work coming in for them. So, I bought the Langmuir Systems Crossfire Pro. It's about a 30-inch by 4-foot table. They do offer one smaller one, but honestly, I would go with this. It's easier just to have one sheet on there, and you know, you can cut it down. I think I cut my sheets down to 32 inches, which is this way. So I do 32 by the standard 48, and it just makes it really easy. And you can do a good bit of work on one of these tables. And if you ever get, because I know what a lot of you are saying, oh, if you don't have a 5x10 table, then you're missing out on a bunch of work. So before I bought this table, I was going to buy a 5x10, and a buddy of mine who runs a 5x10 plasma table, and he's been in business, I think he's been in for 4 years now, because I think he's about a year ahead of me. Anyways, he's been in business for himself, big shop, all that good stuff. He's really making a killing. Well, he's doing good. I shouldn't say he's making a killing because I don't actually know, but he's doing good. Anyways, he told me that 90% of what he does, he could do on a small table like this. And I thought, okay, well, how about I'll just buy a small table, save a little room in my shop, and if I get anything bigger, I can just outsource the cutting to him. So find someone who already bought the 5x10 on the one-off jobs that you do need a bigger one, outsource it to them. So the Crossfire Pro cost $2,749, okay? So you have $10,000, whether it's, you know, I try to avoid the debt, so hopefully you got it sitting around, or maybe you're getting a business loan. It's your preference. You have $10,000, $2,749 is going to get you this. Now, what comes with that is you get the table, all the components, the motors. I do have a few people say avoid CNC tables with stepper motors, but if you're just getting into it, I think they're just fine. Like you saw in the beginning of the video, if I can remember to plug it in there, I was cutting out some like keys. I mean, the cut quality is pretty good. So anyways, it comes with the water table, the slats. The only thing that it doesn't come with is this, which is your machine torch and your plasma cutter. So for plasma cutter, I have the Razor Weld Cut 45. It's kind of like their standard with these. And I bought the one with the machine torch. So if you were trying to save some money, and we might do a video later to see if you could start one of these businesses for $5,000, but $10,000 really seems to be the sweet point. You can get the machine torch, which is this, and the plasma cutter, which is under here. The other thing I have is the torch height control, the THC. Basically, that's what this stepper motor does. This stepper motor does, and it just drives this thing up and down. So the good thing is I don't have to manually do that with every single job, and it will do it if your piece is starting to get a little warped. Like here, my water level is actually getting kind of low. I could start warping material. Now, this is not warped. This was me grabbing it, but this is 1/8 material, so it doesn't really warp that easy. I mean, it can, but I haven't had that kind of trouble. But it will just read it, and you're going to get a better overall cut. And that is $400. So in this whole dynamic, I say it's $400 well spent. So now I'm going to take you outside and show you my air compressor. Okay, so in here is my air compressor. This is a Ingersoll Rand, 80-gallon compressor. This is a lot more air compressor than you actually need. The reason I bought this is because it should run that table all day with no problem and run our air over hydraulic 4-foot brake at the same time. So this supplies plenty of air, and this is $1,300. So, okay, so the next part, you have your air compressor, but that won't come with any hoses or fittings or anything like that. So what I did, I spent maybe $300. In fact, let's just say 300. Because you don't actually need that much hose. So as you guys see, my air compressor is evicted from my shop. It is my red-headed stepchild. It's not welcome in here. The reason being is when it kicks on, it's so loud, and if I'm trying to talk to you guys or a customer who's here, or really if I'm just trying to hear myself think. So it's outside, it's in between insulated walls, and it's good for me. So, but you will need a dryer system. Now, I believe, yeah, this is 1/2-inch copper tubing. The copper actually wasn't that expensive. This whole system's probably $300 between the compressor and the plasma table, or the plasma cutter. So what I did this. So the idea is any moisture, because you need dry air for your plasma cutter, any moisture that's in here will have a hard time climbing up these tubes, and it will actually sit in here, and then I can crack it and it will drain out. And I do get a little bit of water on my thumb whenever that happens. But on the last one, I don't. And then I have a 3-stage dryer. And that one is the automatic drain one. So if it gets too much water buildup, it should trigger and drain the water. I've never had it come on before, so that tells me that the I don't even know what you want to call it, the copper system works. So that is about $300. Now, we're still under budget here. So the next thing is you got to be able to tell the table what to do. So you need a laptop. Now, this laptop, I don't have budget in here. But you could probably buy this level of laptop, and all of these numbers are today's market. I Googled every single one of these beforehand. But this is way overkill. I had this laptop. The reason I had this laptop was a few years ago. My wife was doing some side work with graphic design, and she needed a laptop to work. I think she was actually designing websites now that I think about it. Anyway, she needed a laptop, so we bought her one, and she'll use it from home time to time, and then I'll use it to run the CNC table. But you could spend $500 and get a computer that should be able to do all of this. So $500 is what we have in the budget. There's a part at the end, and it will adjust whether you have more room for a computer or less room. Okay, so the next thing I looked up and that you're going to need is a welder. Okay, the next thing you're going to need is a welder. This is my Hobart Handler 210 MVP. This will do like 3/8 or 1/2 inch. This capacity is the same capacity as the Razor Weld Cut 45. So if you can keep them uniform, cool. If you already have a welder, great. You don't have to spend money on this part. Your budget becomes less. And you don't actually even need this. Honestly, if we try to figure out if we can do this for $5,000, you probably won't see a welder in there. But to be more versatile, there are a lot of components that you can build, cut out, and then build. A good example is right over here on this little table. It's leaning up right there. I have a snowplow for an ATV that I'm building for myself for this quad right here. The reason we're doing that is so that next year we can work out any bugs in them, and then next year we can sell those. Because with CNC tables, signs are kind of a flooded market, and your market will depend a lot, but just metal signs are kind of a flooded market, so you want to be able to have different avenues that you can do, whereas someone who maybe they just have the sign business, but maybe they're not making and selling snowplows or producing parts. Like those keys you saw me cut out in the beginning, those are for local, I think he's an author of, he has a series of books. He goes around Michigan selling them, and if you buy the trilogy, all 3 books, he gives you like a trinket from each book, and one of them is a metal key. So he orders, like, I think this order is for 50 keys. Okay, so repeat parts, and that's another reason these tables are great, is because it can cut parts out and be identical. Ooh. And like I'll show you here, if you line all these up, they are pretty identical. I could not cut this by hand this good. Okay, so a welder. This welder here, as of today, will cost you $1,200. And it's a great welder. I've had it for years. I think this is year no, this is year 2. No, I'm going on year 3. I've ran hundreds of pounds of wire through it. And I do have a video reviewing this welder if you want to check it out. But so a welder. Now, actually what I don't have in here is the bottle. Check out Marketplace. I know some people are going to get a little weary, but I've had really good success buying all my bottles off Marketplace for like $50 to $100. And then when you exchange them, you get a different bottle anyways. So the next thing you're going to need is a grinder. The DeWalt grinders, I mean, you can go to like any big box store and get these for like $100. So $100. The one thing I actually don't have, but I'm gonna buy, is a polisher. And it's for like any signs that you have, like those keys. He doesn't want any finish on them. He just wants them kind of polished. Those are $120. The other thing you guys will figure out, I do kind of like DeWalt's, is just a palm sander. When I'm doing 16 gauge for signs, I don't like to eat it up on the face, because you won't get any dross on the face. And I don't like to eat it up with the grinder, so I'll go over it with like a palm sander and like 120 grit sandpaper. Actually, this is 80 grit sandpaper. Oh yeah, but I was doing that. Yeah, 80 or 120 grit sandpaper. Those sanders are $75. And the last thing that I think you need, coming over here, is one of these magnetic chucks. So, why I think you guys need one of these is you can turn the magnet on, throw a piece down, whoop, and it holds it in place, and then you can sand it, buff it, grind it, whatever you need to do. And you're ready to go. Now, the one thing I don't have in here, this is purely equipment. I did not talk about any PPE, but you should have earplugs, gloves, steel toes, and a hood or safety glasses. I mean, all of that's under like $100 unless you want to get super technical about your boots. So And that magnetic chuck, that's $75. So if we add up all of that, it's going to cost you $7,989, which gives you $2,011 left over. Now, this is the part I was talking about where you might be able to afford a bigger computer. I'm assuming you have a place to work. You have a small garage or something. But if your garage has power, but you might not have two 220 outlets, because you'll need a 220 outlet for the plasma cutter, and you'll need a 220 outlet for the air compressor. Now, if you had one, you could buy a smaller air compressor, but I mean, you could go to Harbor Freight and get one of their 120 volt air compressors. But like I said, same thing with being versatile. I'm building a brake because I want to be able to put bends and stuff, right? Full fab shop is my goal here. So anyways, on that $2,000, you need to put 220 in your shop. If you already have 220, you could buy a welding table with that $2,000. You could buy a better laptop with that $2,000. You could buy a better welder with that $2,000. Or your budget for your actual CNC table could go to almost $5,000. Well, a little less. It'd be $4,760. So, can you start a CNC plasma cutting business for under $10,000? Yes, you can. We just proved it right here, and that, I mean, literally gives you a breakdown of everything you need. I mean, you will have to buy steel and find customers and all that kind of stuff. But that's going to be our next video. Is if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, do all that good stuff that shows me that you like this video. But the next video I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the ROI on these machines. So when I bought this, I was originally buying, it was kind of COVID time, and they weren't sure when I would actually get my table, if it'd be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. So I didn't put a lot of faith in that. So I didn't plan on getting any work. I was like, screw it. I'm just going to buy it. I'm going to get it here. And I'm going to start getting work for it once I have it. So that's what I did. So my first month on this thing, I made $1,800 my first month running this. So $1,800, that's not tons of money. I also had 0 customers. Okay, I had 0 customer base for this. So $1,800, and I'm also running a welding business, so my time spent on this was pretty minimum. But $1,800, you're in it for $10,000. Well, that's 18%, right? Yeah, that's 18% return. That's pretty good on that month. So if I do that, that's what I was going to look up. If I do $1,800 every month for a year, that's $21,000, over $21,000. So will you get super rich doing this? No, but if at the end of the year you had $21,000 sitting there to go buy other equipment that did greater to or equal or greater to revenue for you, then the next year you'd have $40,000 in profits. And within 3 years, you can be your own boss. So that's pretty good. And I'll break down more on your ROIs and all that kind of stuff and pricing and whatnot with that table later, and markets and all that stuff. But step 1, can you start a CNC plasma cutting business for $10,000? Yes, you can. And if any of you guys have been thinking about doing it, do it. Because Especially if you already have the air compressor and the welder and the grinder and all that stuff, and all you have to do, like I know guys who, I mean, they have everything but the table. So if I bought just the table for $2,700, I'm $1,000 short of making my money back in a month. That's pretty great. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So anyways, guys, I hope you liked this video, and Happy New Year's to everybody, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, peace.